Good morning. My name is Dale Hawthorne. Welcome to my channel. And I'm going to give you right now a little mini review of the movie The Sound of Freedom. I saw it last week in theater and I was very impressed. I don't specialize in movie reviews, so I'm going to give you what I have here. My friends in college said I had a annoying habit of comparing movies to Greek tragedies or Greek comedies. And just to get that in here a little bit, to quote and some words put into the mouth of Aeschylus by Aristophanes and the frogs. No one could see this without wanting to get straight up and slay the foe. But to continue on, this was a good movie. I would recommend you see it. There's no nudity, no scenes depicting children being molested, and there's very little salty language. And the most violent scene really is the place where Jim Caviezel's character battles a trafficking customer for the freedom of a little girl, and that's not terribly graphic. There's suspense, there's conflict, but that's not terribly graphic. But it does depict in the movie how strongly some imperfect men with a real sense of responsibility before God battle depraved people for the lives of children at the risk of their own lives at times. The best line in the whole movie, which you can see in trailers and in commercials: God's children are not for sale. Yeah. Um, and there's also a scripture reference in Matthew 18, verse 6. I'll leave it there for you to look that up. Matthew 18, verse 6. And the movie is well acted all around. And there are four other characters besides Jim Caviezel playing Tim Ballard. Four other characters also well worth mentioning. Roberto, played by Jose Zuniga. I believe I got the name correctly. I'm still a little ways out from learning Spanish. I do have that on my retirement list, my bucket list. So, the father of the children, Roberto, he himself carried his part very well. Kurt Fuller, who some of you may remember from some older movies. I believe he was also in The Running Man as the agent of Arnold Schwarzenegger's character. But you do find a number of other people who, places you'll recognize his face when you see him in here. And again, you'll see a real character arc with Tim Ballard, the man whom Jim Caviezel plays, as he encounters evil in the beginning and what it does to him. Tim Ballard did say that he was specifically chosen within the agency for that responsibility because he was a person of faith, that he would have the resources to be able to deal with what would be seeing. There's also Bill Camp, who he plays a cartel renegade, and he gives a tremendous performance. He's apparently been around since the late 1980s, but I've really never noticed him before. But I think that this really should be a breakout role for him. Also, Jose Zuniga, that should be a breakout role for him too. I never noticed him before, but Who Framed Roger Rabbit had Bob Hoskins in a breakout role where he'd been around for years, doing things for years, but all of a sudden he is catapulted to, I would say, at least A minus list, if not A list actors, and the guy who helps him set up the island, Paul. And there's also, I wasn't able to pinpoint precisely the name looking through, but there's one of the traffickers who they do focus on him in a scene or two, and he depicts the depravity well. You can just look at his face and go, oh my word, he depicts it well. So you do see the depravity of the traffickers as sellers of the children, and the customers, the buyers, that is depicted. You do get some idea of their motivations, why they're doing it, but they don't go into it really deeply. It isn't. It's really more to give awareness rather than to really give anything that anyone can point to and say that that's doing something attempting to get people into that type of attitude. And Scott Hayes and Gary Basaraba, I hope I'm pronouncing Gary's name right, two of the American customers, the buyers, and Scott Hayes Compared to his IMDb picture, he is unrecognizable, and Gary also really is not quite recognizable from the picture. So you see also in the film the ways in which the children are lured into the situations or even taken forcibly from vulnerable situations. You see the anguish of the parent, and that's a strong part of the performance of Roberto, Jose Zuniga, the father of the children. That's a strong part of what he depicts in the movie. So the question I had when I came to the end, not only seeing what was happening, and again, it does happen, this film is not depicting anything which hasn't been known for a while. Even when I was serving a pastorate, I did know some characters who were into this type of trafficking, and it's found it very disgusting and very something that I would never want to have anything to do with. But the question I was left with: what's happened to us? What's happened to us as a people and a nation? Who can stand by and let such things happen? What's happened to us? So that's all we got for right now. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention.